This scenario has played out in my head like a billion trillion times. I'm sure it has in yours too. You have an invention idea and you are sitting in front of a buyer of a major big box corporation. What types of things are we going to run into? What types of questions are they going to ask? Hell, what are we going to wear? So let's get right into it. Yeah, I know you're thinking, do I wear a suit and tie to these types of meetings? Well, in my opinion, you're the owner of the company. Steven is going to be there with me. Steven is kind of going to play more the formal role, and frankly, he knows a lot more about this meeting than I do. I'm playing the, hey, I'm happy to be here as the owner to facilitate this deal. So I'm dressing pretty casually. I have an ice cream t-shirt on, some decent slacks, and just throw on some new shoes. Don't wear ratty shoes, okay? But actually, the meeting is tomorrow, where I'm going to wear jeans and a torque strap polo with my nice white Nike sneakers. Okay, pretty straightforward. So that's pretty much that was a burning question on my mind in the beginning. Is what do you wear to these things? Anyway, I digress. So we're going to hop on an airplane. We're going to head to Atlanta, where we're going to connect, and then we're going to go to Springfield, Missouri. That's where the headquarters is. Now, with any luck, we'll close a big deal today. We're, at the very minimum, we're going to learn something, right? And we're going to do that together. And I can't wait to share that information with you. If all goes well, perhaps tomorrow night, Steven and I will sit down for a special interview to kind of wrap up the podcast and go over how it went. But I'm going to do my best to kind of document this journey, let you know what happens along the way. Obviously, do it in stealth mode. We don't want to scare anybody off. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a cool interview with somebody at a high level at O'Reilly. I don't know. But let's find out. So, guys, we're going to negotiate a deal. O'Reilly has already seen the product. They've seen our Amazon presence. They've seen our social media presence. They know that the product is proven, but they just want a face-to-face meeting. A lot of this is going to come down to price, shipping times, terms. Pretty straightforward stuff. But at the end of the day, what do they want to know? They want to know that when they put my product on the shelf, it's going to move with no friction. Okay? So I don't, what does that mean? I don't know, okay? We're going to find out. We're going to see what barriers there are to entry. Listen, I've rambled enough. Let's close out this part. Let's head to Atlanta. I'll see you guys soon. Good morning, inventors, and how are you? Look, just a quick note before the show. Season 2 of the Invent With Me podcast is brought to you by the Invent With Me Patreon. Odds are you've been listening to the show for a while now and you need more information. I don't typically agree with a paywall unless it's a situation in which there's not enough time in the show or there's just more tender love and care needed to get you to the successful point with your invention where you want to be. The sign-up process is incredibly straightforward. Just go into the show notes, click on the link for the Patreon, and sign up via their safe payment platform. $6 a month connects you to the Discord, which is stacked with current inventors as well as other professionals and myself. And together, all of us are going to make sure that your dream becomes a reality. All right, guys, remember, I took the punches so you don't have to, and enjoy this episode brought to you by the Patreon. Thanks. All right, guys, so we're back at the hotel. I apologize. This is the only place I could get decent lighting in this hotel room, but here we go. So today was pretty exciting. Today was kind of the preamble or the precursor to the big meeting tomorrow. So I arrived at the airport in Springfield. Steven picked me up in the rental car that he picked up, which is actually a pickup truck that we're going to use for a demo tomorrow. We went to the office of Nation Sales. Okay, so now listen, this is important because I never quite understood the importance of a sales rep until today. Nation Sales is a sales rep / distributor, mostly a sales rep. And what they do is they vet inventors like us before we're allowed to talk to big box stores, right? In this case, that store being O'Reilly Auto Parts. So
we meet with them in their conference room, and they have a display built. They called it something specific. I can't quite remember, but they've replicated the shelf at O'Reilly Auto Parts with its current inventory, the way everything's set up, the height at which it's set up, right? And they blend our product into it to give a visual appeal of what that might look like. This was really cool to see. This was really important to see. And basically, they gave me the rundown of what it's going to be like tomorrow when I meet Mike. Okay, Mike is the buyer, the merchandiser, whatever you want to call him, for that particular category at O'Reilly Auto Parts. So I asked the guys, I said, I need to understand how much of this pitch is about how cool the product is, how much of this pitch is about logistics and shipping, getting the product to their warehouses, and how much of this pitch is about our marketing efforts and assuring them that when they put our product on the shelf, it's going to move. And the answer I got was yes. All three are very important. So let's start with logistics, because that's the most boring part, and that's the part that they brought up first. A buyer doesn't really care too much about how cool the product is. What they really want to know is, how much inventory do you have? And specifically, how much inventory do you have in the USA? How quickly can you get it to us when we put in an order? Now, for us, the answer was, well, if you're ordering a couple thousand, we'll get it to you within a week because we have that in the warehouse. If you're ordering 10,000 or more, well, the lead time on that's going to be like 90 days because that's a full-fledged manufacturing process. They said, okay, well, don't worry about that too much right now. They don't have an order placed, or they don't intend to place an order that we know of. So let's just stick with, we have plenty of inventory and we can always get more. Okay, cool. And then they want to know, can we integrate with their inventory systems? Okay, they have electronic inventory systems that we need to be able to integrate with our own software and synchronize and make things work so that their distribution centers understand when we have product coming, when it's going to arrive, so that they can prep for it and they can receive it, right? So it's a very intricate inventory system that they have set up. It's pretty much going to take someone on your team part-time ready to handle all the information, the tracking, the shipping of these different orders going to different warehouses. So we talked about that and what that might look like. And Stephen had a pretty good handle on the electronic system for inventory. So is it something we're experts in right now? No, but we know enough to be dangerous and we know enough to have this conversation, I hope. Okay, so that was inventory. And then we talked about marketing, right? They want to know that when your products get on their shelves, they're going to move, okay? So what I was basing my pitch off, my practice pitch today off, was their current straps. And their current straps don't really have any marketing other than the foot traffic that they bring in. They also had one of our competitors' straps on this particular shelf. And I kind of explained how our social media blows their social media out of the water because, well, we're actually doing it. And explain our meta ads, our Instagram ads, our presence, our conversion rate. And then I explained the human element of how we sell straps and how in reality, if we were selling straps in brick and mortar, the conversion rate would be much, much higher because people vastly buy straps in person much more than they do online. Yet still, we're able to make 1,500 orders a month, do six figures every month in sales off of products that typically don't move quite well online. So imagine the conversion rate and how well these are going to move in store. Okay, so that was the marketing speech. And then the third question I had was, how much story goes into this, guys? Because I'm a storyteller, right? How much should I focus on why the product was invented and my struggles with straps in my life, things of this nature. And they said, honestly, Mike is a really down-to-earth guy, and he's going to enjoy you personalizing these stories. So have at it, man. Tell him why you invented it. Tell him the stories of the injuries or the lost loads. Tell him your driving factor, what you did but before this, and segue that into where the product is now. And that's going to show your drive and your passion for your product. I said, okay, cool, can do. So basically tomorrow what we're going to do is a 3-pronged approach or attack, if you will, at 10:30 in the morning when Mike shows up at the Nation Sales office. So Mike works for O'Reilly. He's going to buzz over to the Nation Sales office. He's going to meet us, right? Okay. So the 3-pronged approach is, one, we're going to demo the product. We rented a pickup truck. We got a cooler. We're going to do the cooler drop test, fasten down. Look how easy, look how fun that was in the bed of the truck. Bada bing, bada boom. Done it a billion times. Kind of a snooze fest to me, but I can understand how someone who doesn't touch the product regularly might enjoy that. Next, we're going to go inside, and I'm going to tell the story of the bungee through my dad's hand, why I invented it, and why I started the business. And then I'm going to let Steven speak to where the business is at now. So he kind of gives it clout, like, hey, this wasn't just a pipe dream. Look at the millions of dollars of sales we've done of this product. Look at the growth we've shown year over year, proving that this is a product that can scale, has growth potential, and moves quite well. And then at the end of Steven's PowerPoint presentation, he's going to touch on our social media and our marketing. And that's where I'm going to bring it back to real life, away from the PowerPoint, and bring it to a real conversation where I talk about our social connection, our marketing, and how we make sure we get feet in the store buying our product, therefore buying more O'Reilly products, because that's what this is all about. They want a unique product because unique products bring in fresh eyes and fresh audiences into their stores. That's why inventors have such a leg up on the other competition. We went to dinner with the Nation Sales guys right after this practice meeting. And the most interesting takeaway I got at that dinner was they have big box stores call them up as a sales rep all the time and say, find us something unique. Find us something different. Find us something outside the box. Now, the challenge that these salespeople are faced with is not only do they have to find something different, they have to find a product that's currently selling and proven, but they also have to make sure it's not selling too much and it doesn't already have exclusive distribution or representation with a Home Depot or a Lowe's, something like that, right? So they're hitting a moving target that has so many variables to make it a perfect opportunity. I like to think that my product is in that perfect opportunity space where we've pushed e-commerce for 3 years. We haven't tapped it out, but we've definitely capitalized on it, to say the least. We're not yet in a retail or big box store, just a couple independents, and we've proven that the product moves at whatever price point we market at. So that was a huge takeaway, that these big box stores big box stores are looking for unique inventions. But usually what they get is they get a current brand like a ratchet strap coming to them and changing one little thing, adding a quick feed option or some little innovation that really doesn't shake things up, but they got to say, hey, we have a new feature on this aisle, right? So everybody's kind of happy, but in reality, are the customers super excited? Heck no. Now, the other big takeaway I got from the Nation Sales guys was this. They said that they are in a really good position to talk to O'Reilly, Lowe's, Farm King, Farm and Fleet, any of these big box stores, because they offer a vetting process. He said, you won't believe the number of calls that these big box stores get from different brands like us. And you guys know, it was the first thought on your mind. Admit it. When you invented something, you said, I'm going to call up Bed Bath & Beyond and tell them about my invention and make a little sell sheet and yada, yada, yada. Stupid. They are inundated. You can't imagine how many people are calling them, emailing them with drawings and ideas and pitch decks and one sheets. Listen, a one sheet is for when you're ready to hand them a pen and fulfill an order, not when you have an idea, okay? So he said, the reason it's so important to have a rep like us is because we vet and we make sure that the big box stores take you very seriously. And that's why I'm all the way here in Springfield, Missouri today, okay? From Miami to Springfield, 4-hour flights. I'm here. Mike is meeting us. We're all getting together. We're spending money on dinners. We're doing the big boy work because we're working with a sales rep. Now, I don't promote them, advocate for them in any way. This is my first foray into all this stuff. I'm an e-commerce guy through and through, but I'm seeing the value, and it's quite interesting. I can tell you that these deals, it's never a holy grail situation. We've been warned that O'Reilly is going to want to make a lot of profit on our product. Okay, surprise, surprise. They want to buy it for nothing and sell it for lots of money. But I have also learned that we can wiggle our way out of that and work down the margin so that we're making good money and they're making good money, not just the other way around. And again, I learned that it's mostly going to come down to logistics. Can you integrate with our shipping systems? Can you deliver on time? Can you fulfill the orders that we project on? And if you have one slip up, one bugaboo, that might be it. They might not work with you again. So you got to be ready. All right, so if you can't tell, I'm laying in bed. I'm going to hit the hay. We have a big day ahead of us, but tomorrow at 10:30 is the meeting. After that, I'll be heading to the airport where I'm going to close this out and let you guys know exactly how it went. I don't expect to have any concrete answers, but I do expect to learn more. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Well, here we are. A man and his microphone after a meeting with the merchandising manager of tools and hardware at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's see, the last time I talked to you guys, I was sitting in my hotel room, young, full of piss and vinegar, ready to go into that meeting, and here I stand before you, a man at Springfield Airport in Springfield, Missouri, looking out at a pasture full of cows, 4 beers deep, ready to tell you that honestly, that meeting went about how I expected. However, I can't explain the feeling I had towards the end of it. So we had prepped for this meeting with Nation Sales, and what they told us was Mike is a really straightforward guy. You're going to have a really honest, one-on-one, truthful interaction with the guy. He's going to come in a polo, jeans and sneakers, and he's just going to say, okay, what do you got? Well, Mike came in a polo, jeans, and sneakers. He sat down, and he said, okay, what do you got? And for some reason, it still just all kind of threw me off how straightforward it was. So I'm sitting just to the left of Mike. We're at a big conference table. Mike's at the head. I'm to his left, Steven's to my left, right? Nation Sales is across on the other side. And Mike says, well, let's start with some introductions. And I said, I introduced myself, told a little bit about the story of Torque Strap going back to the days when a bungee cord went through Dad's hand. Gave him that whole spiel. That's always a winner. Told him that I searched for something better but didn't find it, so I decided to make it myself. And Steven will apprise you of where we're at now 4 years later. Stephen introduces himself. He goes through his spiel, Chief Revenue Officer, and Stephen starts to talk about the sales and the reach, kind of backing all the stuff that I was just talking about as far as how cool the product is. After that, I said, hey, before we get too deep into the numbers, should we go outside so you can see this product and really see how it works? And Mike says, it's your hour. So I said, all right, let's grab the M500s right there off the table. Let's just grab those and go out. Let's do a demo. So we go to the bed of the pickup truck. There's a red cooler there waiting for us, a little piece of wood. And I give Mike the spiel on how the product works. Better, faster, simpler, safer, bigger hooks, thicker, but here's the real magic. Spring-loaded cargo strap that always stays tight, so easy to use, you just pull. Watch how much tension I generate, wabam. Pull the stick out from underneath the cooler, shaboom, still tight, still secure. Yeah, cool, Mike doesn't give us much to go off of. He doesn't give much of a reaction. So we go back inside, and Mike just starts talking about all the barriers to entry that we are going to face with O'Reilly Auto Parts. And he started talking corporate, which I don't speak. There's lots of cautionary tales about what could happen, how he likes to do deals that are very mutual, very 50-50, everybody wins. However, just know that if your product doesn't sell, you have to buy it back. Just know that whatever product you displace on our shelves, you have to do what's called lifting, which is where you, TorqueStrap, incurs the cost for the competitor that we bump out. And the process for that is finding a liquidator who will buy the product at pennies on the dollar, and TorqueStrap covers the difference, right? He talked to us about how we have to be ready to recoup the costs of warranty claims, which could be a certain percent of the entire order.
All areas within the terminal building are
So he's going through all this stuff, and it's just sounding more and more daunting. And then eventually what he said was, I don't think it's going to happen this year. Our product review is too close. Maybe next time, maybe July we'll recircle, but is anything going to happen within the next 12 months? I don't think so. Now, that's not to say the wheels couldn't turn fast in 2026, but as far as right now, the timing's just not right. And maybe I've been watching too many movies, too many stories of entrepreneurs who hammer their way into the seemingly impossible deal. But as soon as he started to turn the tide and show that it might not be happening, I felt immediate guilt, immediate shame, immediate panic that I should do more in this moment. And I was digging deep inside myself because I had given my marketing speech, all of our followers on social media, all the people that we can reach in a short amount of time and drive foot traffic in. I said, listen, at one point I said to Mike, I said, you're worried about us bringing feet into your store and making sure this product sells. I said, Mike, I could bore you with the numbers on our social media all day long, but at the end of the day, the only number you need to know is 6 figures a month. I said, Mike, I said, I don't know about you, but before I started TorqueStrap, I never bought cargo straps online. And he kind of nodded, yeah. I said, no one buys cargo straps online. I said, and despite all these barriers to entry, the fact that I have to convince a person to go on my website that they haven't heard of, enter 16 numbers off of their credit card and their shipping address, and hope that they're going to get a product in 3 days, despite that mountain in front of a purchase, I'm still able to close 6 figures in sales every single month. I said, imagine the power of the conversion in O'Reilly Auto Parts. I said, this has been the missing link to the puzzle. And I left it at that. That's kind of a short version, but I thought that was really compelling because that's the main thing on their mind is, if I put this on the shelf, is it going to move? He didn't really have much to say about that. Maybe it impacted him, maybe not. After the meeting, we debriefed, me and Steven, the Nation sales guys. They had a lot of great things to say about my demo. Dude, the product worked great. It's just flawless. It couldn't have gone better. But no one really said anything about my marketing speech. So I got a little bit bummed out about that. Maybe it wasn't as good. And I should have asked, but I was scared to hear what I didn't want to hear, which is maybe I didn't hit the mark. Maybe I didn't close the deal. So listen, guys, the message I want to give you about this interaction was Mike, the buyer at O'Reilly, has gone through this exact same meeting 600 times. He's juggling 200 suppliers, vendors, whatever you want to call them, brands like me, TorqueStrap, at any given time. If one rubs him the wrong way, he's got another one to take their spot. If you ever notice something interesting, if you go into O'Reilly, even though they have all the tire repair stuff you would ever need from Slime, you'll still see Fix-A-Flat in that same area. Why? So he can pit one against the other. Don't play games with me, Slime. I know you think you're top dog because you own 75% of the space, but Fix-A-Flat is here, and they're ready to walk all over you if need be. This game of shelf space is cutthroat. This game of shelf space is unforgiving. This game of shelf space is so much more scientific and mathematical than any of us ever could have fathomed. Myself, certainly. I should only speak for. So I want to basically leave you guys with this. I want to leave it positive because I had too high of expectations, put too much pressure on myself. But at the end of the day, this was the first introduction in a long process. No corporation moves fast. Certainly not O'Reilly Auto Parts. Certainly not Mike. Awesome guy, but he knows the faster I move and the more risk I take, the more things I take responsibility for, and the more that the executive branch is going to kick my ass. Slow and steady wins the race. Consistency is key, showing good numbers and taking very little risk. Your product has to display those attributes. Low risk, high reward for everybody, and a frictionless fulfillment system. All right, so my plan moving forward, because marketing was a big topic, and after the meeting I talked to the Nation sales guy. I said, I don't think Mike really understood what I can do for them from a marketing standpoint. So I said, what do you guys think if I just start marketing, just make viral videos on social media about shopping at O'Reilly, different things like that. I don't have it all clear, but I know that if I sit down and think about it for a couple hours, I could come up with some viral content that incorporates O'Reilly. Maybe it incorporates TorqueStrap, maybe not, I don't care. And then we can just send that video to them and say, hey, this is what we're talking about. Sure, we have 200,000 followers across the 4 platforms total, but videos like this can reach millions of people. And if TorqueStrap is a partner with you, this is something that comes along with it for free. We are bringing feet into your stores for free. Think about the impact of that. So that's something I got to work on in the next coming days. Overall, a good experience, learned a lot. I think it's going to take a lot of hours, maybe a whole week to consume what really just happened. Come on, Jessica and Jonathan. Get your butts in gear. But once I digest everything that went down and once I have a game plan, I'm going to be much better equipped to help you guys when you inevitably 4 beers deep, when you inevitably run into this situation and run into the scenario of dealing with a buyer at a major corporation. All right, I don't know how I'm going to wrap this episode. It's been a short one. Maybe we'll continue on. I'm going to close out this episode in the studio with clarity after I've been able to sleep on this. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys for part 4. All right, part 4 of the O'Reilly Buyers meeting. You remember in, what was the movie? Cable Guy, when Jim Carrey left all those voicemails, and they got really creepy. And then the next day he says, sorry about yesterday, by the way. I was in a weird mood. I kind of feel like that about how I left things at the airport, right? So the last thing you guys heard was me tipsy at the airport talking about what went down. Well, in reality, what went down was a really positive first meeting with O'Reilly. And I think I mentioned that. But what I want to drive home is after we had some clarity, after we had some phone calls with Nation Sales, it turns out that, it was a successful meeting. And they're really anticipating seeing our numbers. So we've put together our prices, and what we've tried to structure the deal is to where we can make about a 62% profit margin, gross profit margin on the transaction, right? So if my cost is $5, I sell it to them for $15, whatever the case is. And then O'Reilly, when they buy it, they want to make a 60% margin. So if you have a cheap item that's worth $10, they want to buy it for $4 and they want to sell it for $10, right? That's their 60% margin they're trying to make. Now, Mike kind of admitted to us that, well, he told us straight up that in the past, O'Reilly said, don't even bring us a deal unless it has a 60% margin. We don't want to see it. Not going to happen. He said now they're getting a little bit more lax about that because now they're realizing that margin isn't quite as important as good partners, right? Keyword there being partner, someone that is easy and friendly to work with, seamless, has inventory, has good marketing, is a good company based here in the US. So we're putting together pricing. We're offering them pricing that gives them about a 50% margin because, hey, more for me is better. And so when you look at this deal, let's say they buy $400,000 worth of torque straps. I factored in there that I'm going to have to pay 15% in commissions, right? That's Steven and that's Nation Sales. Their combined commission of that $400,000. We're going to have to factor it with the bank, which means we go to the bank, which O'Reilly has 5, and we say, here's a PO for $400,000. I want you, bank, to give me the $400,000. And the faith is this PO because we're working with O'Reilly. The bank says, sure, we're just going to charge you 7% fees on that money, okay? So we're subtracting another 7% from the $400,000 deal with O'Reilly. And then we're figuring about 1% for returns and warranty claims. So that could be as much as, I don't know what the math is on that, 40 or 400 returns, claims, big chunk of change, maybe $5,000, $10,000, I don't know. And then I do know, I just don't know right now. And then the big one, what's it called? Gosh, I'm not even drunk today. The big variable that we can't nail down is the potential lift, right? I talked about that earlier. A lift is if I go in and I knock off Husky straps off the shelf. O'Reilly says to me, what am I going to do with all these Husky straps that you just displaced? It's your responsibility to cover 90% of the cost of liquidating those. So that means I can either fork over a bunch of money and buy them myself, stick them in the warehouse and try to sell them myself. I could hire a liquidating company who I guess would buy them for pennies on the dollar, but that's not going to cover what O'Reilly wants to get out of them. O'Reilly wants their cost out of them. And I talked to my mentor, Craig. He said, look, all this is negotiable, right? I mean, they listed the high end of the deal. They listed the you getting screwed version of the deal. But all this is negotiable if things align, okay? So with all those fees, the commissions, the bank factoring, the potential lift, which I calculated worst case scenario at $60,000, that would leave TorqueStrap with about $122,000 at the end of the deal. That would be a net profit margin of like 30%, okay? 30% net, okay? So after all the fees. Is that a great a net profit margin typically? Actually, it's not bad. When you look at my net profit margin on Amazon, right, after ad cost, total advertising cost of sale, tacos, ACOS, all that jazz, and platform fees, our net profit margin is generally between 30 and 40%. On a great month, I might hit like 42%. That's rare. So 30% profit margin on a deal with O'Reilly of that size is good because it happens, boom, almost instantly. You have $122,000 of profit in the business account. I don't need to explain money to you guys. Profit is a good thing. So and that's just the first deal. Now imagine it goes swimmingly because my marketing is great and people buy torque straps from O'Reilly like crazy. The next order, there is no lift. That was a one-time fee. Bumping Husky off the shelves, that's done for. So that's going to save me a huge chunk of change on the next deal. So instead of $120,000 in profit, it could be more like $180,000 in profit. And if, in fact, I move product well, the next order will be significantly more. It doesn't quite work like that. It's not like, hey, first we're going to do a $400,000 order, then in 6 months we do $1 million order. They're going to kind of stagger it and trickle it because some regions are going to sell more than the others, right? It's going to kind of vary. But the ongoing orders could be monthly or quarterly, and they could start to get really lucrative. Maybe O'Reilly would say, hey, instead of putting 2 units in every store, we want to put 4 units in every store. Boom. You just doubled your profit. You doubled your order value. You doubled your income. And on it goes. So I'm very excited. I am nervous about all these fees, though. It's one thing to say, yeah, there's going to be $120,000 profit. But you got to remember, in the time it takes to get the deal done, you're kind of losing money, right? You're paying employees, you're paying insurances, you're paying softwares, you're operating a business, so it's not like woohoo, 120 profit. No, eventually you are burning money right now. There's other fees that are harder to nail down and harder to quantify. So I am nervous about the 30% profit margin. I would like more. So we kind of lowballed them on the price. And they're probably going to kick it back. If they're really offended, they may not even respond. And we shot ourselves in the foot. But hey, that's what leverage is all about, right? At the end of the day, I have my online store, I have e-commerce, and there's other big box stores out there, even regional ones, Farm and Fleet, Farm King, Big R stores, Tractor Supply Co., many less stores, but maybe they don't harp on you about profit margins. Maybe they're good with having a 40% gross profit margin. They buy it for 6 and they sell it for 10 and they're a happy camper. Okay, so I'm not going to sell the farm over or to one entity. I'm not going to be beholden to anybody. I have leverage. And that's why e-commerce is so important. All you people thinking, I'm just going to retail. Well, you have no leverage. And if they offer you $3 and a purple Twinkie, you have to take that deal. So here's the funnest part. This episode's going kind of longer than we anticipated. But when I got back to the office, like I predicted at the airport, I did think of a way to incorporate O'Reilly into 2 short form videos, okay? 2 short form videos, and then after those videos, I shot them, I edited them, and I posted them on YouTube, but unlisted. You can't see them on YouTube. But I'm going to show you exclusively here on the Invent With Me podcast, right here on this episode, right now. I'm going to let you see and listen to those 2 shorts that I shot, and I edited in O'Reilly. These are old videos. You know, I wasn't going to waste my entire day on these videos, so I just got crafty with editing. And to them, they're 2 brand new, unique videos. So anyway, take a watch, have a listen to these short form videos, and then I'll tell you the plan for them. So here they are. You won't believe where I found these. Every weekend I load my bikes and the strapping takes the longest time. I went to O'Reilly and found these things. It's essentially a hybrid of all straps, but this part shocked me. There's actually a steel spring inside that gets mega tight. From what I can tell, this means 2 things: no more ratcheting and no more adjusting. I won't be using these straps anymore, and I would love to hear if you guys have them in store near you. But I went ahead and started using these on everything I haul. In fact, I went back in April to claim my birthday reward and pick up another set. New products and awesome tips. This is why I go to O'Reilly every week. Check this out. Javier turned me on to torque straps for my cargo, but the strap was a bit too long for my application. That's when he took me outside and showed me this hack you're about to see. Real talk, is there any other store you get service like that? I honestly thought that to get high-end products and honest reviews, I would have to deep search the web, but O'Reilly's product line is on point and in stock. You can't beat that, and check out this hack. No more worrying about my cargo straps flopping in the wind. Let's go. Okay, simple stuff, right? I mean, they're fast-paced, they're catchy, but for me, it was 4 hours of my day and a trip to O'Reilly to get some B-roll and some footage. A funny story, when I was filming in O'Reilly, listen, big lesson, or big tip here. Anytime you're going to film at a location, a store, a park, a dealership, I don't care, just film. Do not ask for permission. They will eventually come to you and they'll be friendly. Hey, man, what are you up to? And then you'll tell them, and 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, well, we're not really supposed to let anybody film here. I would have to radio. It's over. Once they radio the security guard who's from Nigeria and he can't lose his job, he is not going to let you film in that location. Okay, he'll be nice, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. So just get the shots. You don't need much. You saw from my videos. I took a shot of the front of the store. I took a shot of the aisle. I took a shot of me sliding the product in front of the cash register with the guy in the background. That was all illegal footage. But once you got it, you got it. Okay. And sure enough, he told me, we just got an email from corporate. We are not allowed to let people take pictures or video in the store, which is the most asinine thing I've ever heard in the digital social media era. You're banning social media influencers from shooting videos in your store. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But hey, I'm not surprised. So get the shot. All right. Now, after I shot those videos, I shot a Loom style video, just like I'm talking to you guys right now. I'm at the computer and I ran through our social media. I ran through their social media. I ran through the plan to run ads and to direct people with viral videos to their store. And it came out pretty nifty. I can't share that one with you because I think it reveals a little bit too much detail. It's a little bit too intimate. Not on my end, on their end. If they ever found out that I sent that video made that video public when they were under the impression it was private, that might be a little bit of a bugaboo. So, all in all, good things. If you want to find out whatever happened with this deal, hop on the Patreon, subscribe. You can get connected on the Discord. $6 a month, you get instantly connected to the Discord. We're all there. And you can talk to me personally, and we'll talk about how the deal ended up.